The wedding veil fluttered in the desert wind, hiding a secret no one suspected. Aisha's heart raced as she stepped into the opulent Dubai ballroom. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbows across the gold-trimmed walls. The scent of oud and jasmine clung to the air. Guests in silk abayas and tailored suits whispered behind jeweled hands. Her groom, Khalid al-Mansuri, stood tall, his smile sharp as a blade. A millionaire at 30, his wealth came from oil and darker ventures. Aisha's white gown shimmered, heavy with diamonds sewn into the lace. Her hands trembled, clutching the bouquet of rare black roses. Something felt wrong, but she could not name it. The ballroom buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses and soft oud music. Sand dunes loomed outside, glowing under the moon's cold light. Aisha's bare feet sank into the plush Persian rug. Her breath caught as Khalid's eyes locked onto hers. His gaze held secrets, like shadows moving beneath still water. She forced a smile, her lips dry as the desert air. The ceremony began, the imam's voice low and rhythmic. Aisha's pulse thundered, drowning out the sacred words. Her new ring felt heavy, cold against her skin. Khalid's hand brushed hers, his touch too deliberate. The crowd applauded, but their cheers sounded hollow. Aisha glanced at her sister, Noor, in the front row. Noor's eyes narrowed, her face pale with unspoken fear. Aisha's stomach twisted, a knot of dread tightening. The banquet hall opened, revealing tables laden with saffron rice. Lamb roasted with cardamom filled the air with warmth. Guests moved like a tide, their voices a chaotic hum. Aisha's gown dragged, catching on the marble floor. She sat beside Khalid, his cologne sharp and metallic. He leaned close, whispering words she could not hear. Her skin prickled, as if brushed by unseen eyes. The chandelier flickered, casting jagged shadows across the room. Aisha sipped her rosewater drink, its sweetness cloying. Her throat tightened, a faint burn spreading inside. She coughed, masking it with a nervous laugh. Khalid's hand rested on her arm, firm and unyielding. His smile never wavered, but his eyes grew colder. Aisha's vision blurred, the room tilting slightly. She gripped the table, her nails digging into the cloth. Noor approached, her steps quick, her face tight with worry. Aisha tried to speak, but her voice felt trapped. Her chest ached, each breath sharp and shallow. The music swelled, a violin's wail cutting through the noise. Guests danced, their shadows swirling like ghosts on the walls. Aisha's heart pounded, a drumbeat of panic. She looked at Khalid, his face now a mask. His fingers traced the rim of his untouched glass. Aisha's mouth tasted bitter, like copper and ash. Her hands shook, the bouquet slipping to the floor. Black roses scattered, their petals dark as blood. Noor knelt beside her, whispering urgently in her ear. Aisha's eyes widened, catching a glint of truth. Khalid's brother, Zayed, watched from across the room. His stare was heavy, loaded with unspoken intent. Aisha's breath hitched, her body growing heavy. The room spun, colors bleeding into one another. She clutched Noor's hand, her grip weak and desperate. Noor's voice trembled, urging her to stand. Aisha's legs buckled, her gown pulling around her. The crowd gasped, their murmurs sharp and jagged. Khalid's voice cut through, calm and commanding. He called for a doctor, his tone too polished. Aisha's mind raced, piecing together fragments of doubt. The rosewater drink sat untouched on the table. Her lips burned, the taste still lingering. Noor's eyes met hers, wide with silent horror. Aisha's thoughts screamed. Something was in the drink. Her body slumped, the world fading to black. The desert wind howled outside, rattling the windows. Sand scratched against the glass, a harsh whisper. Khalid's face loomed, his smile a cruel crescent. Aisha's last thought was of Noor's warning glance. Darkness swallowed her, the ballroom's glow extinguished. Hours earlier, the day had begun with promise. Aisha had stood in her suite, overlooking Dubai's skyline. Skyscrapers gleamed like knives piercing the dawn. The air smelled of coffee and fresh henna. Her hands traced the gown's lace, intricate as a spider's web. Noor had helped her dress, her fingers steady but tense. Aisha had laughed, dismissing her sister's quiet unease. Khalid's gifts had arrived: jewels, perfumes, and roses. The black roses had struck her as strange. Their scent was faint, almost medicinal. She had ignored the chill creeping up her spine, nor had whispered about rumors, dark tales of Khalid. His wealth came from oil, but whispers spoke of blood. Aisha had shaken her head, trusting her heart. Khalid's charm had dazzled her for months. His promises of love felt real, unshakable. Yet Noor's words lingered, sharp as a splinter. Aisha had met Khalid at a charity gala. His voice was smooth, his eyes dark and magnetic. He spoke of dreams, of a future together. She fell fast, swept into his gilded world. But cracks appeared, small moments of doubt. His late-night calls, always vague, always hurried. His temper, quick and cold, when questioned. Aisha had pushed the doubts aside, blinded by hope. Now, collapsed on the ballroom floor, hope dissolved. Her body felt distant, a vessel no longer hers. Voices echoed, a chorus of panic and confusion. Noor's screams pierced the fog, raw and desperate. Aisha's mind clung to one thought: poison. The rose water's bitter aftertaste haunted her. Khalid's untouched glass mocked her fading strength. Her eyes fluttered, catching Zayed's shadow moving closer. His face was unreadable, a puzzle of intent. The crowd parted, their faces blurred with shock. A doctor knelt beside her, his hands cold and clinical. Aisha's pulse weakened, each beat a faint echo. Noor clutched her hand, tears falling like rain. The ballroom's grandeur felt like a tomb. Gold walls closed in, suffocating and heavy. Aisha's thoughts swirled, grasping at fleeting memories. Khalid smiled at the gala, warm yet calculated. Zayed's stare, always lingering too long. Noor's warnings, dismissed as sisterly worry. The black roses, their petals now scattered. Each clue pointed to a truth she could not face. Her body trembled, fighting the darkness creeping in. The doctor's voice faded, drowned by her heartbeat. Khalid's hand rested on her shoulder, possessive. His touch burned, a silent claim on her life. Aisha's eyes closed, the world slipping away. The desert wind screamed, a lament for her fate. Noor's voice lingered, a beacon in the void. Aisha's story was not over, not yet. The truth waited, buried in shadows and lies. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic, sharp and sterile. Aisha's eyes fluttered open, her vision hazy and dim. Machines beeped, a steady rhythm cutting through silence. Her throat burned, raw from the poison's cruel grip. Noor sat beside her, eyes red, hands clasped tight. The desert wind howled outside, rattling thin window panes. Sand grains tapped the glass, a restless, scratching sound. Aisha's skin felt clammy, her hospital gown stiff and cold. Her heart pounded, memories of the ballroom flooding back. Khalid's smile, sharp and false, lingered in her mind. The black roses, their petals scattered, haunted her thoughts. Noor whispered, her voice low, urgent and trembling. She spoke of the rose water, its bitter, deadly taste. Aisha's chest tightened, fear coiling like a snake. The doctor entered, his face grim, clipboard in hand. His shoes squeaked on the polished linoleum floor. He checked her chart, his pen scratching like sand. Aisha's voice rasped, asking about the poison source. The doctor hesitated, his eyes dodging her gaze. He mumbled about tests, results not yet clear. Noor's hand squeezed Aisha's, a silent plea for strength. The room felt small, walls closing like a trap. Aisha's mind raced, piecing together the wedding's chaos. Khalid's untouched glass, his calm amid her collapse. Zayed's stare, heavy with secrets, burned in her memory. She asked Noor about Khalid, her voice barely audible. Noor's face darkened, her lips pressed into a line. Khalid had vanished, leaving the hospital in silence. Zayed lingered, though, watching from the shadows. Aisha's pulse quickened, dread creeping through her veins. The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzed, harsh and unyielding. A tray of medical tools gleamed, cold and sharp. Aisha's fingers traced a four line in her arm. The needle's pinch lingered, a reminder of vulnerability. Noor leaned closer, her breath warm against Aisha's ear. She spoke of a note found in Aisha's bouquet. Scrawled in black ink, it read, "Trust no one." Aisha's stomach churned, the words sinking like stones. Who wrote it and why remained a mystery. The hospital's air conditioner hummed, chilling her skin. Outside, Dubai's skyline glittered, a city of secrets. Aisha's thoughts spun, tangled in doubt and fear. Khalid's wealth, his charm, now felt like a mask. Nor mention rumors, whispers of Khalid's dark deals. His oil empire hid transactions no one could trace. Aisha's heart sank, realizing how little she knew. She had loved him, blinded by his golden promises. Now, her survival felt like a dangerous defiance. A nurse entered, her footsteps soft but deliberate. She carried a tray, syringes glinting under the light. Her smile was tight, her eyes avoiding Aisha's. Noor watched her, suspicion etched on her face. The nurse adjusted the four, her hands quick and precise. Aisha's arm stung, a sharp jolt spreading fast. She gasped, her vision blurring at the edges. Noor shouted, demanding the nurse explain her actions. The nurse fled, her tray clattering to the floor. Aisha's breath grew shallow, panic clawing her chest. The room tilted, shadows dancing on the walls. Noor pressed the call button, her voice cracking with fear. Doctors rushed in, their voices a chaotic blur. Aisha's body trembled, fighting the new surge of poison. Her mind clung to the note, "Trust no one." Khalid's absence felt deliberate, a calculated move. Zayed's presence, lurking nearby, sent chills through her. The hospital's sterile scent now felt like a lie. Aisha's eyes darted, searching for hidden threats. Noor held her hand, her grip fierce and protective. The doctors worked, their hands steady but urgent. Aisha's pulse raced, each beat a desperate cry. The note's warning echoed, a puzzle yet unsolved. She remembered Zayed's gaze, intense and unreadable. His role in Khalid's world was vague, shadowy. Aisha's thoughts drifted to the wedding's strange details. The black roses, their scent faintly medicinal. Khalid's untouched drink, his calm too perfect. Her collapse? Planned, not a random tragedy. The hospital's walls seemed to pulse with secrets. A distant siren wailed, cutting through the night. Aisha's skin prickled, as if watched by unseen eyes. Noor whispered about a plan to uncover the truth. She had taken the note, hiding it from Khalid. Aisha's heart steadied, fueled by her sister's resolve. They needed evidence, something to expose Khalid's lies. The hospital room felt like a temporary sanctuary. But danger lingered, woven into every shadow. Aisha's mind flashed to the gala where she met Khalid. His charm had been a trap, carefully set. She recalled Zayed's presence, always at Khalid's side. His silence was heavy, loaded with unspoken threats. Aisha's body ached, the poison's effects still lingering. The four dripped, a slow, steady rhythm of life. Noor's eyes burned with determination, a fire unquenched. She spoke of a contact, someone who knew Khalid's secrets. A former associate, now hiding in Dubai's underbelly. Aisha's hope flickered, fragile but alive. The contact could reveal what Khalid hid, but meeting him meant leaving the hospital's safety. The desert wind roared, a warning of risks ahead. Aisha's fingers curled, gripping the thin bedsheet. Her wedding day, meant for joy, now a nightmare. Khalid's face haunted her, his smile a cruel lie. Zayed's shadow loomed, a puzzle piece missing. The note's warning felt like a lifeline, thin but real. Aisha's breath steadied, her resolve hardening like steel. She would survive, uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Noor's plan was risky, but they had no choice. The hospital's clock ticked, each second heavy with dread. Aisha's eyes scanned the room, searching for clues. A folded paper lay under the nurse's drop tray. Noor grabbed it, her hands trembling with urgency. The paper held a symbol, a crescent with a dagger. Aisha's blood ran cold, recognizing Khalid's family crest. The symbol tied him to the poison, undeniable proof. But why, and who else was involved? The hospital's lights flickered, casting jagged shadows. Aisha's heart raced, the truth closer but dangerous. Noor hid the paper, her eyes fierce with purpose. They needed to move, before Khalid's reach tightened. The desert's heat seeped through the hospital walls. Aisha's skin burned, her body weak but defiant. The machines beeped, a reminder of her fragility. Noor's voice was steady, plotting their next step. They would find a contact, expose Khalid's darkness. Aisha's mind clung to hope, thin as a thread. The crescent and dagger symbol burned in her thoughts. Someone knocked on the door, sharp and sudden. Aisha's breath caught, fear spiking like a blade. Noor stood, her body tense, ready to fight. The door creaked open, revealing Zayed's silhouette. His eyes gleamed, cold as the desert night. Aisha's heart stopped, the truth still out of reach. The story was far from over, danger closing in. Zayed's silhouette filled the hospital doorway, his presence heavy as smoke. His eyes glinted, cold and sharp like polished obsidian. Aisha's heart hammered, each beat a frantic warning. Noor stood rigid, her fists clenched, ready to strike. The hospital's sterile air thickened with tension. Outside, the desert wind howled, a restless spirit. Sand scratched the windows, a gritty, urgent whisper. Zayed stepped forward, his shoes clicking on linoleum. His voice was low, smooth, dripping with menace. He spoke of Khalid, his brother, now missing. Aisha's throat tightened, the poison's memory lingering. The crescent and dagger paper burned in her mind. Noor's eyes darted, searching for an escape. Zayed's smile curled, a predator sensing weakness. He held a phone, its screen glowing faintly. A message flashed, "Leave now or she dies." Aisha's breath caught, fear coiling in her chest. Noor grabbed her arm, pulling her from a bed. The four tugged, a sharp sting in her vein. Machines wailed as the tubes ripped free. Aisha's legs wobbled, her body weak but defiant. The hospital corridor stretched, a tunnel of shadows. Fluorescent lights flickered, casting jagged pools of light. Noor's whispers urged speed, her voice tight with panic. Aisha's bare feet slapped the cold, slick floor. The antiseptic smell clung, sharp and suffocating. Zayed's footsteps echoed behind, steady and unhurried. Aisha's pulse roared, drowning out the hospital's hum. They turned a corner, crashing into a metal cart. Bandages and syringes scattered, clattering like bones. Noor pushed Aisha forward, toward the stairwell. The door slammed shut, muffling Zayed's pursuit. Stairs spiraled down, concrete rough underfoot. Aisha's gown snagged, tearing on a sharp edge. Her lungs burned, each breath a desperate gasp. Noor's hand gripped hers, a lifeline in chaos. The stairwell smelled of dust and stale air. A distant door banged, Zayed's shadow drawing closer. Aisha's mind raced, the note's warning screaming. "Trust no one," it had said, now painfully clear. They burst into an alley, Dubai's heat slamming them. The air shimmered, thick with sand and exhaust. Neon signs buzzed, casting eerie glows on walls. Aisha's skin prickled, sweat mixing with fear. Noor pulled her toward a crowded souk nearby. Spices and incense swirled, a heady, choking cloud. Vendors shouted, their voices a chaotic chorus. Silk fabrics brushed Aisha's arms, soft but fleeting. Her heart pounded, Zayed's threat looping in her mind. Noor navigated the maze, her steps quick and sure. Aisha's vision blurred, the poison's aftereffects lingering. A man bumped her, his eyes lingering too long. Was he Zayed's ally or just a stranger? The souk's noise swallowed her thoughts, relentless and loud. Grilled meat sizzled, its smoky scent overwhelming. Aisha's stomach churned, her body screaming for rest. Noor whispered about the contact. Their only hope? He waited in the souk's heart, hidden in plain sight. Aisha's eyes scanned, searching for sign. A stall glittered with gold, reflecting torchlight. The vendor's gaze met hers, sharp and knowing. He nodded slightly, a signal meant for them. Noor tugged Aisha closer, weaving through crowd. The vendor slipped him a key, cold and heavy. His whisper was faint, pointing to a back alley. Aisha's heart leapt, hope battling her dread. The key's teeth bit into her palm, grounding her. They slipped behind a curtain, the souk's din fading. The alley was narrow, walls stained with grime. Trash crunched underfoot, sharp and brittle. Aisha's breath hitched, sensing eyes in the dark. Noor clutched the key, her knuckles white with tension. A door loomed ahead, rusted and unmarked. The key fit, its lock grinding with resistance. Inside, the air was damp, heavy with mildew. A single bulb swayed, casting trembling shadows. A man waited, his face scarred and weathered. His name was Omar, Khalid's former associate. His eyes darted, wary of unseen threats. Aisha's pulse raced, her body tense with hope. Omar's voice was rough, like gravel underfoot. He spoke of Khalid's empire, built on deceit. Oil was a cover, hiding deals in blood. Aisha's knees buckled, the truth sinking in. Khalid trafficked secrets, weapons, and worse. Omar pulled a ledger, its pages worn and stained. Names and dates sprawled, a map of betrayal. Aisha's name appeared, marked with a red circle. Her breath stopped, the ledger a death sentence. Noor's eyes widened, her face pale with shock. Omar whispered a plan, Khalid's twisted design. Aisha was a pawn, her death a message. The poison was meant to silence her forever. Her mind spun, the ballroom's clues aligning. The black roses, the note, the untouched glass. Khalid's charm was a trap, meticulously crafted. Zayed's role was unclear, his loyalty questionable. Omar's hand shook, the ledger slipping slightly. He spoke of a safe house, hidden in the desert. They needed to move before Zayed found them. The bulb flickered, plunging the room into darkness. Aisha's heart froze, footsteps echoing outside. The door rattled, a fist pounding with force. Noor grabbed the ledger, tucking it under her abaya. Omar hissed, urging them through a back exit. The desert air hit, dry and blistering hot. Sand stung Aisha's face, sharp as tiny needles. They ran, the city's glow fading behind them. Dunes rose like waves, vast and unforgiving. Aisha's legs burned, her strength fading fast. Noor's grip was fierce, pulling her onward. The ledger's weight felt heavy, a dangerous truth. Headlights flashed, cutting through the desert's dark. A car roared closer, its engine a hungry growl. Aisha's heart sank, Zayed's shadow closing in. Omar shouted, pointing to a hidden ravine. They slid down, sand cascading like a waterfall. Rocks scraped Aisha's skin, raw and stinging. The car stopped above, doors slamming shut. Voices barked, sharp and urgent in Arabic. Aisha's breath was ragged, her body trembling. Noor pressed the ledger tighter, her eyes fierce. Omar whispered a warning, his voice barely audible. Zayed's men were close, their steps crunching sand. Aisha's mind raced, the ledger her only weapon. Its pages held proof, but at what cost? The ravine's shadows cloaked them, cold and damp. A scorpion skittered nearby, its tail glinting faintly. Aisha's skin crawled, fear mixing with resolve. Noor's plan was clear. Survive, expose Khalid. The desert silence was heavy, broken by shouts. Zayed's voice cut through, cold and commanding. He called Aisha's name, taunting her defiance. Her heart pounded, the ledger a burning secret. Omar signaled, pointing to a distant ridge. Safety was close, but the path was treacherous. Aisha's body ached, the poison's ghost lingering. Noor's eyes met hers, a silent vow of strength. The desert stretched endless, a maze of danger. Zayed's men fanned out, their flashlights slicing the dark. Aisha's hope flickered, fragile but unbroken. The truth was near, but the cost was rising. The story hung in the balance, danger tightening its grip. The desert ravine swallowed Aisha, Noor and Omar, its shadows cold and deep. Sand crunched underfoot, sharp grains biting their skin. Zayed's men shouted above, their voices sharp as knives. Flashlights sliced the dark, hunting for their prey. Aisha's heart pounded, the ledger heavy in Noor's hands. The air smelled of dust, dry and suffocating. Omar led them, his steps quick through the dunes. The safe house was close, a faint hope ahead. Aisha's legs trembled, the poisons echoed draining her. Noor's grip was fierce, pulling her through the night. The desert silence roared, broken by distant engines. Aisha's skin prickled, sweat mixing with fear. The ledger's secrets burned, a truth worth dying for. Omar pointed to a ridge, barely visible in moonlight. A low structure crouched there, hidden in sand. Its walls were cracked, baked by relentless sun. The door creaked, rusted hinges groaning in protest. Inside, the air was stale, thick with mildew. A single lantern flickered, casting jagged shadows. Aisha's breath caught, her body weak but alert. Noor clutched the ledger, her eyes scanning the dark. Omar locked the door, his hands shaking slightly. The safe house felt like a trap, walls closing in. Aisha's mind raced, the crescent and dagger haunting her. The ledger held college crimes, but something felt off. Omar's face tightened, his eyes dodging theirs. He spoke of a plan, his voice low and strained. They needed to decode the ledger's cryptic entries. Aisha's pulse quickened, sensing a deeper betrayal. The lantern's light danced, revealing a dusty table. Nor spread the ledger, its pages brittle and worn. Names and numbers sprawled, a web of corruption. Aisha's name glared, circled in blood-red ink. Her stomach twisted, the truth sharper than expected. Omar pointed to a name, unfamiliar yet chilling. It read Layla, tied to college inner circle. Aisha's memory sparked, a face from the gala. Layla's eyes had lingered, cold and calculating. Noor's breath hitched, recognizing the name too. Layla was college sister, rarely seen, always whispered about. Her role was vague, a shadow behind his empire. Aisha's skin crawled, the puzzle growing darker. The safe house's walls creaked, the desert wind howling. Sand hissed against the roof, a restless warning. Omar's hands shook, his fear betraying his words. He knew more, his silence louder than speech. Aisha pressed him, her voice sharp with urgency. Omar's eyes darted, sweat beading on his brow. He stammered, claiming Layla orchestrated the poison. Aisha's heart stopped, the twist shattering her reality. Khalid was a puppet, Layla the true mastermind. The black roses, the note, all her design. Noor's face paled, the ledger trembling in her hands. Layla's name appeared again, linked to Zayed. Aisha's mind reeled, connection snapping into place. Zayed's loyalty was not to Khalid, but Layla, the hospital nurse, the chase, all her orders. Aisha's breath was shallow, horror sinking in. The wedding was a stage, her death a performance. Layla's motive was unclear, a mystery unraveling. The safe house's lantern flickered, shadows twisting like ghosts. Omar's voice cracked, admitting his own betrayal. He had worked for Layla, feeding her information. Aisha's trust shattered, her ally now a traitor. Noor grabbed a knife, its blade glinting coldly. Omar backed away, his hands raised in surrender. The desert's heat seeped through, heavy and oppressive. Aisha's body ached, the poison's ghost lingering. Her eyes locked on Omar, searching for truth. He swore he switched sides, fearing Layla's wrath. The ledger was his proof, stolen from her vault. Aisha's doubt lingered, his story too convenient. Noor's knife hovered, her trust in his air. The safe house's walls groaned, as if alive with secrets. A distant engine growled, headlights piercing the dark. Aisha's heart leapt, Zayed's men closing in. Noor shoved the ledger into a hidden bag. Omar urged him to flee, pointing to a tunnel. The entrance was hidden, a trapdoor under sand. Aisha's fingers scraped the wood, rough and splintered. The tunnel smelled of earth, damp and suffocating. They crawled inside, the dark swallowing them whole. The ledger's weight pulled, a burden of truth. Aisha's breath was ragged, her body screaming. Noor's whispers urged her on, fierce and steady. The tunnel narrowed, stones scraping their skin. Omar followed, his breathing loud and panicked. Aisha's mind spun, Layla's shadow looming large. The poison, the chase, all her cruel design. Why target Aisha, a bride barely known? The ledger held clues, but time was slipping. The tunnel opened to a cave, vast and cold. Water dripped, echoing in the hollow space. Aisha's skin chilled, goosebumps rising in waves. Noor's eyes scanned, searching for an exit. The cave's walls glistened, slick with unseen moisture. A faint light glowed, a crack in the rock. Omar whispered of a boat, hidden by the coast. The Persian Gulf was near, its waves a distant roar. Aisha's hope flickered, fragile but burning. They moved toward the light, footsteps echoing softly. The ledger's secrets weighed, a dangerous prize. Layla's reach was long, her power absolute. Aisha's heart raced, the twist reshaping everything. Khalid was a puppet, Layla the true threat. Zayed's role was murky, his allegiance unclear. The cave's air grew salty, the sea's breath near. Waves crashed outside, a rhythm of restless power. Aisha's legs buckled, her strength fading fast. Noor's arm steadied her, a pillar resolve. The crack widened, revealing a moonlit shore. A small boat bobbed, tethered to a rock. Its hull was worn, paint peeling like skin. Aisha's pulse thundered, freedom tantalizingly close. Omar climbed aboard, his movements quick but nervous. Noor hesitated, her eyes locked on him. Aisha's gut twisted, sensing a final betrayal. The ledger's pages fluttered, caught in a breeze. A name caught her eye, written in faint ink. Her mother's name, long dead, marked with a star. Aisha's breath stopped, the world tilting sideways. Her mother's death, a mystery, now tied to Layla. The twist burned, a truth too big to grasp. Noor's gasp echoed, her shock mirroring Aisha's. Omar's face paled, his secret exposed. He knew the connection, had hidden it deliberately. Aisha's voice shook, demanding answers from him. Omar stammered, his words drowned by waves. The boat rocked, the sea's pull growing stronger. Zayed's shouts echoed, his men nearing the cave. Aisha's mind raced, her mother's death a clue. Layla's vendetta was personal, rooted in the past. The ledger held more, secrets yet unopened. Noor pushed Aisha aboard, her eyes fierce with purpose. The boat lurched, waves slapping its sides. Omar untied the rope, his hands trembling violently. Aisha's heart pounded, the truth still out of reach. The sea stretched endless, a dark, unyielding void. Layla's shadow lingered, her plan unfinished. New questions burned, the story far from over.